Good afternoon. My name is William Jones, and today we will be going over F-18 emergency response and extrication on a flight line. Right now, we are going to watch a video on the spotting techniques for an F-18 emergency. This video was shot during training fires while I was with Marine Corps Air Station Beaufort Crash Fire Rescue. This was shot in 2015. Right now, the driver is responding to an F-18 that is crashed and is on fire. He's spotting on the fire using the roof turret and the bumper turret as the initial knockdown of the fire. During training exercises, we would just use water, but in a real life situation, we would be using foam to put the fire out. Once he's got the fire knocked down during the training exercise, we'd be sending in handline crews from 2 trucks. There's 2 trucks that respond to the fire in every time. You've got your nozzle man and you've got your backup man. Your backup man would actually, in the long run, be your rescue man. He would be the one that would extract the pilot and everything. As you can tell, they're putting out the fire, staying low, sweeping back and forth, keeping the fire pushing away from them. In a real life situation, you're not going to really use the hand line quite as much, more for spot fires, because the fire would be completely put out by the foam coming out of the roof turret and the bumper turret coming from the P-19s in this specific incident. All right, they've got the fire out, contained to the rear, and now we will start our presentation. Today's presentation will be a F-18 emergency response and extrication of the pilot on a flight line. Classroom safety. In case of emergency, we will be exiting through the main entrance of the classroom, down the hallway, out the west side of the building, and we will muster in the parking lot there at the west side of the building. If for any reason that exit plan is blocked, we will be utilizing the windows in the back of the classroom, also mustering on the west side in the parking lot. Today, utilizing this PowerPoint, you'll be able to successfully do the following: initial response and spotting procedures of vehicles on F-18, identify the different types and models of F-18, safety procedures for the exterior of F-18, safety procedures for the interior of F-18, and extrication of the pilot or pilots, depending on the aircraft. The initial response on an F-18 emergency, you'll have 2 tenders and 1 rescue truck. The 2 tenders will spot on the F-18 from the front as demonstrated in this picture. 1 will spot on each side at a 45-degree angle, and the rescue truck will spot 20 to 30 feet behind those 2 trucks. The chief will oversee all communications, chief or senior man, depending on who is in the truck and what the emergency is. And he'll oversee all communications with the pilot, communication, and crew members. Identifying the F-18, there are 6 different models of the F-18. There's the Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, Echo, and Foxtrot. The main differences is the A, Alpha, Charlie, and Echo, or ACE as we would call it, are all single-seat aircraft, and the Bravo, Delta, and Foxtrot are all double-seat. That's really the main difference between the two that you as a firefighter would need to know, is how many patients that are potential patients you'll either be looking for or extracting from the aircraft. Safety and procedures on the exterior of the aircraft. The first thing you're going to do, if there is no fire present, is the pinning of the aircraft. You're going to need to pin the nose landing gear and the main landing gear, which consists of the two back landing gears of the aircraft. You'll have two rescuemen that are going to be doing this process. The chief or senior rescue or senior man on crew will be utilizing hand and arm signals if the pilot is conscious. This will help the pilot know where everybody is located around the aircraft, and also will help the pilot know what is going on with the aircraft. One rescueman will be responsible for the nose landing gear, chocking the nose landing gear, chocking the pilot's left rear landing gear, and safety in the weapon system and the chaps and flare system. The other rescueman, his only responsibility at this point is to pin the right rear landing gear. I'll show you on the next slide where these pins are located. Once you have pinned the aircraft, the next step would be the safety, the weapon system, and the chaps and flares. These are easily safetied. It's right in front of the stars and bars, as you can see in this picture. There are two buttons, one right here and one right here. These buttons each safety, one will safety the weapon, and the other one will safety the chaps and flares. The front one is the closest one to the nose of the aircraft, is for the weapon system, and the rear one is for the chaps and flares. With these are simple buttons. You can do them both at the same time. Get yourself in between them, push them, turn them clockwise, and they'll pop out. They're popped out, and that means both systems are safetied. The next step will be opening the canopy. There are three different ways you can open the canopy. There's normal entry, there's emergency entry, and there's forcible entry. Normal entry, there's a compartment, like I said earlier, which this firefighter right here is opening up, which is located right in between the two buttons to safety the chaps and flares and weapons. This little compartment control has toggle switch, and it also is where the pins for the landing gear will be located. In this little compartment, there's a little toggle switch. You push that toggle switch in, and it'll raise the canopy. The canopy will first go aft, and then it will rise up. And by aft, I mean towards the back of the aircraft. Once the canopy is fully opened, it'll lock itself into place. There is a safety pin that you could put if you want to put in there. On some aircrafts, not on all. The emergency entries, there's two different kinds. One of them is the jettison system, which is what this picture is right here. That's the pilot shooting out of it. That one's actually not on the ground, but the pilot is shooting out of the aircraft, and the canopy shoots off using jettison. You cannot use the jettison system on the ground if there is flammable material present, because it uses rocket power and you don't want to start another fire. The other way, which is a little more time consuming but safer, is to use a 3/8 inch speed wrench. Turning it counterclockwise, you'd use that same little compartment. For the A, C, and E models, you would turn it 35 times. And for the B, D, and F models, you'd turn your speed wrench 112 times till the canopy is completely opened. The third way to do it would be forcible entry. This is your last resort. If everything else fails for some reason and you cannot get the pilot out, this would be your last way to do it. This would use either a rescue saw or pickaxes, whatever you need to use. This one is dangerous because of the jettison system that is on the edge of the canopy all the way around. So that's where you're going to be cutting. You're going to want to cut just above the jettison system, being very cautious of the jettison system itself. Now that you got the canopy off, you're going to be entering the aircraft. There's 3 different ways you could enter the aircraft. You could either use the ladder, which is part of the F-18 itself, which is located on the front of the wing here. All that is you're going to reach up. There's 2 buttons. Push the buttons, the ladder will pop out. Make sure that it's locked into place, and then you can utilize that ladder. That ladder is not very sturdy. It's good for 1 person. But if you want to use, or you can, the next way you could use is you go get a ladder from one of the apparatuses and bring that up and prop it up on the fire or up on the aircraft itself and climb up. That one's useful. Or the third and final way is to use one of the apparatuses themselves as the rescue entrance and exit of the aircraft. All you would do then is you would spot on the wing, pretty much right where these guys are standing. You'd spot there, climb up on top of the aircraft, or climb up on top of the truck, step over onto the aircraft. That one is good for rescues if you have to, if it's an emergency rescue, getting the pilot out of there. Safetying the interior of the aircraft. Once you've got the canopy open, the first thing you're going to want to do is safety the aircraft. First step would be pulling the throttle, which is located on the pilot's left. You lift the finger lifts, pull the throttle all the way to the aft position or all the way to rear, as far back as possible. Then you would want to turn the battery off. The battery is located on the pilot's right side. You'll want to disconnect the thrusters and canopy system located behind the pilot. Oops. Behind the pilot's head, right back here. Pin the ejection seat, which is going to be right here. This little yellow handle right here in between the pilot's legs is the ejection handle for the seat. There's a pin that is located right here under the pilot's arm. There's a little compartment there. Usually that is where the pilot will keep it. You'll pin that, and then the seat itself is safe. There's a safety handle, which is located by the pilot's right thigh that you'll pull up. And once it says safe, then the aircraft interior is safe. The next step would be extricating the pilot from the aircraft, if need be, if you're there for a rescue situation. You'll pull the release taps on either side of the face mask, which he is doing in this picture right here. The next one, you disconnect the oxygen and the communication, which are located on the pilot's left side of the helmet. You'll release hip disconnect. You'll disconnect the anti-G hose from the left-hand side of the console. Release the leg gaiters and release the lap belt and shoulder harnesses. If you don't want to do that, you can disconnect the seat. It's difficult, but then you can just pull the pilot and the seat completely out. In case of spinal injury or thought of spinal injury, what we would use is the KED, the Kendrick extrication device. This is good because you can slide it in behind the pilot and it works as a back brace. And that is the end of our presentation. In conclusion, today you'll be able to successfully spot on an aircraft, you'll be able to identify the different types of F-18. Safety and procedures for the exterior of the aircraft, safety and procedures for the interior or the cockpit of the aircraft, and extrication of the pilot. Here are the references for everything that was taught in today's class. And if you guys have any further questions, please go ahead and ask. We'll have an assignment here in just a minute, utilizing the notes, handwritten notes that you took during this class. You'll have a 10-question quiz, which you need to score 80% or better on. Hope you guys enjoyed your course and have a great day.